Hello and welcome to Critical Success. I'm Adam, and today I'm talking about the fantasy role-playing game, The Burning Wheel. This is a pretty well-known and loved game. I picked it up at PAX Unplugged this year, and after reading through it, I can honestly say that I wish that I had done so much earlier. If you're a game master and you want to improve on your skills, I highly suggest that you pick up and read through this book, even if you don't plan on playing the game. There are some rules in this book which read as if they're mechanics tailored specifically to this game, when in reality, they're philosophies on how to run a game that will feel satisfying and exciting to your players. This game has an implied setting and is meant to take place in a fantasy world of your creation. They give you some information about dwarves, humans, elves, and orcs, and how each of the races interacts with each other, as well as some light lore about them, but for the most part, the GM is left to come up with most of the details about the world on their own. Probably the most talked about aspect of this game is the way in which characters are built. Unlike in a traditional role-playing game, where you build your character as they are right now and then write their backstory, Burning Wheel works by building your character as they were during various stages of their life. To do this, you'll choose life paths for your character, and each life path represents where your character was and what they were doing during a specific point in their life. After choosing your character's race, you'll start with a born life path, and this represents where your character was born and what type of family they were born into. Then you continue adding on life paths until you get to present day, and based on which life paths you took, your character will gain different traits and skills. This method of character creation makes your backstory feel truly important. If there's a particular skill or trait that you want, there needs to be some sort of narrative reason why you have it. What did you do in the past that gave you this particular skill? And Burning Wheel has a lot of aspects like this that really make you think about who your character is and what motivates them. And this is mostly accomplished using the bit system, and this stands for beliefs, instincts, and traits. Your character's bits will alter who they are as a person and how they act and react in various situations. Your beliefs represent your morals and aspirations. A belief should typically tell your game master and your fellow players what it is that you want to change about the world around you. Your instincts are statements that embody a natural reaction your character has in a given situation. For example, an instinct could be, whenever I enter a bar, I always sit with my back to the wall, or if I'm ever surprised, I immediately draw my sword. These act as a kind of insurance policy for your character's actions. So every time you enter a bar, you don't have to say that you sit with your back to the wall. Your GM and your fellow players should just assume that because it is an instinct of yours. Traits are quirks or abilities that your character has, and some of them hold mechanical value, while others are characteristics meant to be used during roleplay. Traits are bought during character creation using trait points, which are rewarded based on which life paths you took, and also can be added later in the game based on a group vote. If a player uses their bits in an interesting way or in a way that really drives the story forward, then the GM should reward them with Artha. And Artha is a system of points which can be spent later to give yourself some type of advantage in any number of situations. The system of Artha and bits rewards players not only for being thoughtful to who their characters are and how they would act, but also to pushing the story forward, and this makes it so that the game rarely stagnates. It makes GMing Burning Wheel feel very different than other games. Rather than writing the adventure and bringing your characters along, the adventure here is written by the characters based on their beliefs and how they want to change the world around them. Mechanically, Burning Wheel is a D6 dice pool system. This means that each one of your stats has a number which represents how many D6 you'll roll when using that stat. Each die that lands on a 4 or above counts as a success, and you must meet a certain number of successes to succeed on a skill test. In theory, I really love dice pool systems. I think that they make difficulty really open-ended because you can add dice or add to the difficulty based on advantages or disadvantages in the situation, meaning that you can add both advantages and disadvantages based on what's going on, rather than just going in one direction or the other. In practice, however, I find that dice pool systems tend to maximize the time between rolling your dice and knowing whether you succeeded or failed, because there are so many more elements to look at, and this can take away from the suspense of a die roll. But one thing that I really love about this system is the method of character progression. Rather than being based on levels, each stat and skill increases independently of each other based on how often they're used and how difficult the tests that are being made with them are. Because of this, Burning Wheel can become any type of game that you'd like, because characters will progress based on what they're doing throughout the game. If you're just fighting a lot, then your combat skills will go up, but if you find yourself in social encounters or in situations of political intrigue, then your social skills will be going up. Also, once skills reach a certain point, they can only continue to increase if you're making particularly challenging tests using them, and this promotes risk-taking. It means that if a character isn't pushing the limits of what they can do, then they're going to stagnate and stop improving. Another thing that Burning Wheel does in a completely unique way are the combat systems, and there are 3 of them: Duel of Wits, Range and Cover, and Fight. Duel of Wits is used for debates and arguments, Range and Cover is used for long-range battles using bows or thrown weapons, and Fight is used for close skirmishes. There's no initiative or turn order here, rather everything is kind of meant to happen at the same time. Both you and your opponent will secretly write down whatever maneuver or action you're attempting to take, and then reveal them at the same time. Based on which action each of you chose to take and how they interact with each other, one or both of you will get to roll dice in order to inflict some sort of consequence on the other one, whether that be poking holes in their argument or poking holes in their body. These combat systems have a ton of different actions you can take, and you really need to understand each one and how they interact with each other before you can really act proficiently. It's a system that at first can feel pretty complicated and is very difficult to introduce to players, especially those that are used to a traditional initiative system, but once you do get it down, it really simulates actual combat or arguments in a way that a traditional system just can't. Overall, Burning Wheel is a game that's completely unique in the way that it handles just about everything. At first glance, it can feel like it's overly complex or rules heavy, but once you dig into it a little bit, it becomes apparent that every rule is here for a reason that really contributes to the overall feel of the game. But as always, I have to finish off this video by talking about why this game might not be for you. If you're the type of player that just wants to relax and play a game where you can act rashly without thinking too much about the consequences or about how your character really feels about what they're doing, then this game definitely isn't for you. This game is meant to be played in a thoughtful way and centered around characters who have distinct beliefs and personalities which really lend to how they act. While a mindless monster-killing sort of game could be run using this system, it would feel pretty disingenuous to everything that this game is built to do well. Well, that's going to be it for today. I hope that this video helped to explain a little bit about Burning Wheel and whether it's the right game for you. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what other games you'd like me to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. Now go play.